punch to Yuta's face. William Regal walks up because he's on commentary throughout the entire match. And then we get old school William Regal, puts on the brass knucks, makes his way to the ring. He's like, you want to do this? I'm pretty good with these brass knuckles. MJF thinks better of it. So post-match, are we getting an MJF babyface turn here? What do you think about that?
I don't know that we're getting an MJF babyface turn, at least not immediately, but I think we may be like long-term setting up moments so that it's not a bizarre turn, if you will, right? I think he's always thinking ahead of the next move and planting the seeds for the next move, and I think that's what we're getting here. And it's a good way to do that because this Blackpool Combat Club kind of rides that line as well, right? Like, it wouldn't be too hard to believe if suddenly they had to go heel for something. So
easy.
I think this is a good fit. It's somebody he's respected, shown respect to, even though he respects nobody.
Right. And I think, if you want to go down the line with the firm or the heels, MJF has a change of heart. That's easy, right? MJF, is the baby face going up against Morrissey and Ethan Page and Lee and, the Ass Boys, right there. Like, that's easy enough for MJF to do. So, I think seeds were planted. I don't know if that, it happens when he becomes champion, but I wouldn't be shocked if quickly after he's champion, he becomes babyface. So we shall see. All right. After the match, we get a quick promo from JS, and they're cutting down Garcia for not accepting the hat. Jake Hager has his funniest line, the only line I remember, where he says, "I like this hat," because he's wearing the hat. That's the gift.
Hey, pause before we go too deep. That's what they need to do with Hager, right? Like, have him say some random off the wall thing where everybody's like, whatever, right? Just, and then moves on.
But that's when he's the best. If you recall, when MJF joined the Inner Circle, the thing that Jake Hager was known for was staring down Wardlow and Wardlow staring down him. Those are the best use for Jake Hager.
Yeah, say less.
Things that are fun.
Say something, less, but say less.
And do something off the wall. Don't go with the whole group, right? Do something a little bit off color, right? That's what I think is great.
Yeah, those interrupting moments, right? Where he just says something where they're like, okay, yeah.
He's a buddy. Yeah. It's cool. We totally get what he's saying. All right, now we get back into the ring. We get a really good match here and another potential babyface turn. But before we get there, it's Darby Allin versus Jay Lethal. These two, just like the match before it, tear it up. They're going back, forth, and whatever not. And they are just going all crazy with the fun flips and shits, and everything goes. And Darby Allin wins by pinfall. Gets the Last Supper, which I thought the ending sequence was good. It was a 1-2, a 1-2, a 1-2, a 1-2, all these pin, and then Darby gets the Last Supper, which is a fun pinning combination. And then he wins. And so, because the rest of Jay Lethal's faction came out when they really shouldn't have, Sanjay Dutt and then Satnam Singh, Darby Allin's like, these guys are losers. Like, that's why these are who's holding you back. And then he does a shake my hand kind of thing. And Jay Lethal does it. He's like, God damn it. And then takes off, doesn't acknowledge his buddies, and just leaves. So what do you think we get from Jay Lethal?
Yeah, well, first I thought this is a little bit of a, we've talked about production and continuity theme issues with AEW over the years, and this is one of them. Sorry. Somebody should have cleared 2 segments worth of things and realized, hey, you can't do back-to-back handshake segment, right? You can't, like, these two didn't talk to each other apparently, which is fine. They don't need to talk to each other. But when they both run it by, I don't know who the producer is, Mark Henry or whatever, he goes, hey, whoa, guys. You guys are doing the same thing. Tough call. MJF gets it. You guys got to come up with something else.
The only thing I can think is maybe the thing that links both of them is that Yuta is a Ring of Honor competitor. He's the former pure champion.
So that's what they do in Ring of Honor. They shake hands.
Yeah, and Jay Lethal is Ring of Honor. So that's the only thing I could say. But yeah, to your statement, break it up with another match in between it. Don't do back-to-back matches with handshake, finish segments or whatnot. So
well, it's shocking to me that like the other guys didn't see it and go like, shit, we got to come up with something different here.
Yeah. So should be interesting to see what the fallout is from there. I tell you what, I said this on our Twitter @Table Show. Darby Allin has that it factor when he walks out, the music, the face paint. I know it's not your thing, it's the Jeff Hardy thing, but he's spinning his wheels too much for the main event scene to be what it is. We need to
so here's what I would
some
do.
new blood. I think
Here's what I would do. And Tony Khan talked about this on an interview he recently did with Ariel Helwani that you shared with me. They don't have enough TV time for the talent they've got. And he's working on that. He's trying to get more TV time and is getting little bits here and there. But, like, there's not enough time to showcase everybody. So what Darby Allin can do is I feel like he's prime ready to maybe not be uber babyface, right? I know everybody loves him, but maybe we can even love him, and let's go DX style, and let's let him run an amok. He's got a skateboard crew, and they're just fucking with shit. They're getting in people's business. They're like, what are you going to fucking do about it? You know what I mean? Like, we fucking take what we want kind of a thing. I wouldn't hate that, right? He's running around with a bunch of lackeys.
I think the idea of him causing a ruckus is awesome because, as we've talked about for years now, this is a traveling circus. There needs to be more bumping up into each other and segments bleeding into the next thing because that's how real life is, right? It's not a 10-minute segment. These two guys, they leave, insert new two guys, insert a ladies match. It's, fucking bump into each other. This has happened. Well, Britt Baker's now talking to Darby Allin. Why the fuck is that happening? Oh shit, here comes Wardlow. Like, that is a little bit more fun and interesting than segment, end, segment, end. And that way, if you do the chaos, then you could even have just someone in the segment. And, oh, I forgot about Ruby Soho, for example, right? Ruby Soho is in catering, talking to Eddie Kingston. Darby Allin has a skateboard. He bumps into Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston doesn't like that because he was eating his fucking dessert. And those two square off. Ruby Soho breaks him up. You didn't have anything to do with Ruby Soho, but there she was. But the match is Darby Allin and Eddie Kingston, right? Like, that's how we can get all of this talent in before we hopefully expand their TV time, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But going back to Darby Allin, I just think, we have Jon Moxley, MJF. Before that, it was also CM Punk, Hangman Adam Page. And it kind of felt like that was just the rotating list of main eventers, and I like all those people. I'm not saying like kick them out. However, Darby Allin bumping into Hangman Adam Page, that's something I'd want to watch, right? Something like that is where I think Darby Allin can get into that next echelon and then elevate a elevation guy into the mid card scene. Ethan Page, for example.
Is anybody getting elevated from Elevation?
No. Well, yes, but it takes like a slow drip because if you look at Willow Nightingale, she was an Elevation talent, and now she's she's awesome. I love Willow Nightingale.
As I'm getting older, I know all about the slow drip, man.
And I tell you what, and Willow Nightingale. Before we get to that match, the best Willow in pro wrestling. Screw you, Jeff Hardy. Now let's get into Brian. I hate that Willow character. I hate it. I get traumatized when I see her come out because it makes me think of him.
Yeah.
It's the worst. All right. So then let's get into what I thought was the match of the night. There was a lot of great wrestling. The first match with MJF and Yuta, the second match with Darby Allin and Jay Lethal, all great. But for me, big meaty men are slapping meat. I'm all for it. And that's what we got here. We got challenger Brian Cage taking on champion, the AEW TNT champion, Wardlow. And this was fucking cool. I liked everything about it. It was so much fun. Tim, what did you think?
I didn't hate this. I didn't think I was going to hate it, but I wasn't like, oh, this is the match I'm looking forward to the most. And I think I was pleasantly surprised because usually we're accustomed to, having grown up WWE fans for, more than years, that two big men slapping meat, two big meaty men slapping meat is usually pretty boring and pretty dull, but not the case here.
Yeah. And also, and I sent this to you, I think, in a direct message, I like Wardlow. I like the build that Wardlow did with MJF. I think him as TNT champion is perfect for who he is and where he's at in his career. However, aesthetically, visually, presentation, and then also moveset and match quality, I think I like Brian Cage more. Now, I don't like the person from everything I've read that he has said. I don't read those dirt sheets, but like interviews that Brian Cage has done. I don't think I want to hang out with them, but I don't have to. I watch them on television. So I wouldn't mind watching Brian Cage more in this role of like eater of worlds. I wouldn't like that. Call him Doomsday. You know what I mean? And just make him
that wouldn't be terrible.
War paint and just killing people. Like I like that. But post-match, he's in a faction, by the way, with Prince Nana. And apparently this Prince Nana has been leading the embassy for years now.
Yeah. I don't know, but those guys look jacked. Like they were
the Samoans.
Yeah.
And
I was like, woo, don't want to mess with them.
Right. And so this is the fun part. So post-match, the embassy attack Wardlow. Samoa Joe comes out because, again, we got War Joe, which is a fun just name to say. Eventually, I think those two need to wrestle each other, though. But still, they're outnumbered. And here comes the fucking tag team of all tag teams. Everyone's favorite stepdad, FTR, comes down for the save. And now it looks like on a live episode of Rampage, we're going to get those two Samoan guys in the tag team taking on FTR for the ROH tag team championships. What do you think about that?
This ought to be a good match from what I can tell. I don't know anything about the other folks, so I'm just basing that on the idea that they probably wouldn't go with a tag team title match if these guys were just terrible, right? So I'm going to assume they're good, and FTR always delivers, right?
Yeah, I think FTR can say, be here, be there, be here, and have a good match. But the guys on the other end from the embassy have the presentation of like, oh shit, they actually might kill FTR if they wanted to. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested. I can't wait to see what this is going to look like. All right, Tim. So then after a commercial break, we get a little switch up. It's the top of the hour. You think we're going to get a promo or maybe another men's match, but we get a women's match. It's a 6-women tag team match. Tell you what,
Wait, was this a short show? Was it a 1 hour show?
It was an
right before the main event.
It was an extended show. I know. I almost jumped out of my shoes when I saw women before 8:30. I tell you what. I mean, that's usually how I go, but
yeah.
But
I see women before 8:30. I can't contain myself.
So we get Athena, Toni Storm, your AEW interim world champion, Willow Nightingale, who I mentioned earlier, taking on Jamie Hayter, Penelope Ford, and Serena Deeb. In the heels corner was Dr. Britt Baker. In the babyface was, how do you say it again? How do you say Paige's new name?
Saraya.
And so here we go. By the way, I missed this in the rundown, but I'll jump back to it real quick because it makes sense for this match. Earlier in the night, Britt Baker cut a quick promo saying, guess what? Saraya isn't wrestling because she sucks and I'm a doctor, blah, blah, blah. And now we get to this match. I liked it. I don't want to go move for move. I thought the people who shined, though, in this match, like I mentioned, Willow Nightingale, Jamie Hayter has a following. She's getting the biggest pops. She is over like Rover, as the old people like to say. Toni Storm, I still thought looked really good, looked like a champion, even though she's kind of lost in the shuffle here. But what did you think about this 6-woman tag?
Fine. There was action. I really am also, as you're saying, really liking this Willow Nightingale. Is that what we're saying? Willow
Nightingale.
Yeah. Just a ball of energy, and you want to clap and cheer.
It's great because she reminds me of Bailey, and no offense to Bailey. I love Bailey. I had an I'm a Hugger shirt. I like Bailey now in this
Hug
Damage
Life.
Control. Hug Life. I think Bailey, of the 4 of them, is the best of the 4 horsewomen, in my opinion.
100%, yeah.
However, Willow is like Bailey, except for her presentation is like she's a bigger wrestler, so she could actually kick your ass. Where Bailey had that same ball of energy, but you're like, oh shit, she's going up against Asuka. Like, this isn't good for her. With Willow, you're like, Willow could hang with, Nia Jax or Nyla Rose or Jamie Hayter, whoever it is. So I like that aspect. It's like a lovable
run you over like Ray Lewis. You know what I mean?
Easy. But like, I want to give her a high five, but then I trust that she can handle herself in a match, right? I don't have to look away or put my eyes over my hands over my eyes. So post match, the baby faces win here, but post match, Britt Baker finds herself surrounded, right? And here we go. Saraya throws a punch And
Threw a punch.
all the shit hits the fan. Britt Baker goes out, but Saraya's like, yeah. So we got the promo earlier from Britt Baker. She's not wrestling, but then we see Saraya punching Britt Baker. What do you think happens here? We see Saraya in a match?
I think we might. I think we're gonna.
Yeah. I think the tease is, oh no, she can't. No, she can't. No, she can't. Well, this Friday she takes on Britt Baker or whatever the next pay-per-view is, right? And it's like, oh shit, yeah. And Saraya's first match in 7 years or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's one thing I want to touch on. I know we don't want to gas bag too much, but there's one point I wanted to make about our conversation last week about Saraya, or maybe 2 weeks ago, that I didn't get a chance to make. One other thing about Saraya that I think is still interesting, or the part that we still want to see her, is when she was Paige and she got on the main roster, it was her and AJ and then the Bellas, right? As soon as she gets hurt, that's when that next phase that she was kind of leading makes it to the main roster. And we never got the Becky Lynch versus Paige. And so I think that's also the part of like, damn it. Look, we don't know if it would have been good or bad, but we never got it. So it's like, I wish we could have saw it. And that's where I think some of we hope you get back because we want to see you in there. And I think that's where a little of that following comes from. That
makes sense.
It's almost like a baseball analogy that I like to bring up is Sandy Koufax, for example. Sandy Koufax, one of the best pitchers of all time, World Series champion, all of that. But you never saw the tail end of his career because he had to retire in his prime because of an injury. And so you always thought, like, what would Sandy Koufax look against Mickey Mantle and all of this stuff? So
Magnum TA for the old heads watching the show.
Exactly. Magnum TA, another perfect example of someone who, man, it would have been cool to see Magnum TA versus Hulk Hogan or whatever.
Right.
Okay. So let's move on. Now let's get into the most fun segment of the night. Tim, I think you know what we're going to. We're going to National Scissoring Day.
Fucking loved all of this. All of it.
The rap was great. Tim, take it over here. This was just so much fun.
Yeah, I loved all of this. I love how they set it all up too. So they're in DC, so they set it up politics style, right? They've got the podium. They're delivering speeches that way. I like that the scissor gift, clearly the Acclaimed had no clue was coming. Billy Gunn gave them that big pair of golden scissors, and you could tell they had no idea what was happening there. The crowd couldn't be more into this. I mean, the moment they saw, like, the scissors, they're jumping around. The whole, like, please look to your left, look to your right. Scissor. It's like, peace be with you, brother. And they're scissoring.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, the crowd shots were great there. I know we shit on AEW's production sometimes, but the crowd shots were great there because the people were just like, did somebody scissor me? It was the funnest thing. I couldn't help but laugh at everything. Almost everything said was great. But they also, like, made good statements and, like, talked about, like, heartwarming stuff about themselves and, like, humanity in general. Like, these guys have found a way to just captivate me for a reason that is unexplainable. If I write it down and explain it to people, they're going to think I'm weird. And that's the beauty of wrestling sometimes. I loved all of this.
This was awesome. I also like the explanation of what scissoring is by still, though, doing the wink, wink. You know, it's a hand gesture. It's to show that you're friends with someone else. But then Max Caster would get in there and like, scissoring. That's scissoring. That's what it is. So I love that it was, hey, on the surface value, if two kids who are in 6th grade, which we'll get to Swerve Strickland in his comments, do the scissoring, they can say to their teacher, to the principal, hey, scissoring is a hand gesture between friends, but we really know what it is.
Another takeaway I got from this is the reason we watch wrestling. We wait for these moments, right? And this moment was only around because a Max Caster thought at some point, probably on the fly, when they're out there doing the Acclaimed have arrived, to come up and just scissor his partner, which, you know, who else are you going to do it to? And then just kind of kept doing that. And that started to catch on. You know what I mean? Like, something that I felt like could have almost had that was, remember when No Days Off, Darren Young and the primetime players, and they were doing that, like, arm in arm thing, and
Yeah,
guys were in the crowd
surfing.
doing that with your
Yeah.
buddy. You know what I mean? Like, that was a little more intense. This is way easier to do with the scissoring. So it's that, right? Like, if he hadn't done that, maybe the Acclaim is nowhere near the heights that they are now, because that just didn't take off. And but
Right.
This is why we watch, right? We get these moments for long-term, like, just joy of, like, this. It's not even long-term storytelling. This is just something that, like, we're rewarded with that's humorous for over 2-3 years now, and it's great.
Yeah, and another thing that was really great is they took a scenario where Anthony Bowens was injured and he couldn't jump up out of his chair and do the Acclaimed have arrived. So he just does scissor me daddy ass because of Billy Gunn is there.
Yeah.
And that takes off. So yeah, I thought it was all great.
Well, and
Now,
Danhausen's influence with the daddy ass portion, like, if that doesn't come along, just all these things that had to happen to make this perfect scissoring, I don't know,
best.
aura. It's the best. I love it. And I want to aggressively scissor people. And I, like, the thing is, you can't if you don't know they're wrestling fans. I just want to go.
That's how you know a wrestling fan. That's how you know a wrestling
I'm going to start,
fan.
when people go to shake their hands, I'm going to reach out with two fingers first.
Oh, my wife will not do that with me. The only thing I've asked for Christmas is for her to do that, just to do the handshake. She's like, do you want like a new jacket? No, I just want you to do this. And that's
scissor
it.
me. We're going to put it on TikTok, and we're going to do
That's all we want. That's all I want.
Hey, ask her how much will we need to get the fans of the Spanish Announce Table to donate to a cause of her choice.
Okay. Yes.
To scissor, and then we'll do that.
All right. Okay. I will clip this and send it to her.
Yes.
All right. So now let's enter in the coolest guy on AEW's roster. Still, Max Caster's awesome. Anthony Bowens is great. All of the fun and all of that. Now he's looking to be presented more as a heel. So we'll see what that looks like. But enter Swerve Strickland. And he comes out and he speaks truth to power. And power in this case was the tag team champs in that crowd, because they did not like him. And he just goes right after Billy Gunn and just says, you should be holding the championships. Those two bums next to you didn't do anything. You were the one. So then next week, me and you are going to fight, and I'm going to beat your ass. And here we go. So now we got Swerve Strickland versus Billy Gunn, a match that, if you told me 6 months ago was happening, I would have thought it was going to be on Dark and I wouldn't care. And now it's going to be on Dynamite, and it's something I want to know how it unfolds. Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Right before I answer that, I want to jump in. We just got Twitter. This isn't a tweet the table, but somebody responded to you live tweeting last night during AEW Dynamite. So, by the way, join Tom as he live tweets during Dynamite on our Twitter @Table Show. And you said, this segment is so dumb, I love it with my whole heart, regarding the scissoring setting. Okay. And the Aussie arsehole at SDD916 said, #1 in merch sales. You may not get it, but you cannot deny results like that. Not a shot at you, by the way, just a statement. They got over, and there's nothing more to say. And I think that's kind of speaking to what I was saying there, right? This just organically got over, and you can't beat moments like this. And it's even helping this. Like, Swerve Strickland, you said, was the coolest guy in the room. We liked Swerve Strickland, but he was kind of spinning his wheels. They even tried to put him with Keith Lee and do this thing. We were like, yeah, we kind of like this, but it was kind of spinning his wheels. But now he's got this chance to be this uber villain against what we all want to do, which is just scissor each other. Don't you just want to scissor each other? Don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't you? And now here's Swerve coming out being like, fuck you guys. You're scissoring stupid. He's fucking like, this is what you're going to do. Like, this is like, this isn't cool, as speaking from the aura of being the cool guy in the room. It's like, ooh, but are you? But are you? Because look, everybody's scissoring.
Right. The cool guy took the wrong turn. Now maybe he's not as cool as he
Now he's jealous.
So we'll see.
Now he's jealous because he can't scissor.
Well, we'll talk about jealousy a little bit later in the show. The segment ends, though, with Smart Mark Sterling, because someone had to get beat up here. He comes out holding papers because, again, he has that beef with Swerve Strickland. But the Acclaim are just like, well, fuck you. And then they do the scissoring move to Mark Sterling. That's how we end it. All fun. And again, we get to look forward to Billy Gunn versus Swerve Strickland on AEW Dynamite.
Yeah.
Let's get back after.
By the way, National Scissoring Day was trending. Like, they got, because it's not a real thing. I mean, it's a real thing, but it's not you know what I mean? Outside of this, it didn't exist. And they made that happen. Like, I'm scrolling through Twitter. There's people all over. There's people like scissoring with their girl. There's people scissoring with their friends, right? It's so great. Don't you? Yeah. Don't you just want to scissor everybody?
Don't you?
Scissor all of you all of you watching right now.
Oh, 1,000,000%. Anyone who wants a scissor, just let me know. Easy.
Yeah, hit us up in the chat with some scissors. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, there you go. So now this will allude to a conversation we'll have after our recap, but after this segment, we get a quick video package, and on Friday night, it's going to be a trios title match where we get the Dark Order taking on Death Triangle. 10, who was supposed to take on Andrade, will not now. And again, we'll talk about why that is later. But now we get on Friday night the Trios Championship, Death Triangle versus Dark Order. Again, Brody Lee's second anniversary from his last match. Do we think we get new champions here? Dark Order gets some titles?
So you can't go wrong if you get new champions. I'll say that, right? You can't go wrong if you put those titles on Dark Order on that show. Everybody's happy. Now, where the storyline, I think, was headed was 10 was going to say, F you guys, going with Andrade and his team, because they've been trying to say, hey, really? You're with these Dark Order dorks, right? You're here with the Dark Order? Come on. Let's. I thought he was going to go that route. We were going to lose the mask. We were going to get Preston Vance. But now, as we've discussed, we've got some news to discuss later in the show, another teaser. Maybe we don't go that route. So I think maybe we do get Dark Order hoist the titles up.
Maybe. I wouldn't hate it. John Silver with the championship.
Yeah.
John Silver with the championship in AEW. That's money to me.
And that's a perfect championship for him to have, too. It doesn't mean a whole lot. I don't mean to discredit the trios division, but at current moment, it doesn't mean a whole lot. And so him running around with it is going to bring endearment to that title. We're going to love it. And
again, you can take the temperature with Dark Order, where if they start to fall flat and maybe the reaction from the IWC isn't too great from the Elite and Kenny Omega coming back, or I guess the Elite coming back, you could potentially have the Elite be heels, take it off of the babyface Dark Order, they get their championships back, and then we run with the new story there. So again, have some options there. Let's get into now a backstage interview. We get Madison Rayne and Sky Blue. They're talking Tay, Conti, or Mello, whatever. Again, that hasn't been explained to me. I don't like it. And Anna Jay challenged him to a match. We get that down the road. Now, another banger of a match is right after this, where we get my favorite person in the world, a saint, someone who needs to be on currency in some type of country. Hangman Adam Page taking on Roosh. And this was awesome. This was hard hitting. This was flips and shit. This is all aspects of pro wrestling that you could get here. What did you think of the Hangman Adam Page taking on Roosh?
Same thing that you said. Hangman is always awesome. Love that guy. This is a great matchup for him. Roosh is, a big dude, but not, overbearing where we have to have this like, oh no, Hangman's got to work from underneath. He also gets the win here, which was what we're all, what we're all excited for. I think it kind of sets him above that talent, which we all think Roosh is a high-level talent, right? So I think it was very good. It also set us up for what happened after the match and where we're going with Hangman. And I'm starting to get the feels that we might get Hangman's second run here. What do you think?
God, I would love it. So let's talk about it. Hangman wins by pinfall using the buckshot lariat. Post-match, Private Party reluctantly are going to beat up Hangman because, again, they have this contract with Andrade and all of that. So they're reluctant, but they're thinking about doing it. They don't even get into the ring because John Moxley's there. And he's like, no. I got a match with this motherfucker. You ain't giving him an excuse when I beat his ass that he was injured going into it. So he walks in, Private Party leaves. Then we get a promo segment here. And John Moxley is awesome, as he always is. And he's basically calling him a kid, saying he likes him, saying he respects him. But when the bell rings, boy, I don't respect anyone. Okay. But then Hangman grabs the microphone from John Moxley and was like, hey, well, you've been waiting for this match for so long. Why wait any longer? Let's fucking do it now. Calling his card. And John Moxley, I think maybe that was a shoot. Maybe that was a improv because he had to look a little bit strong.
Well,
he couldn't have just.
Somebody famously said Hangman can go into business for himself sometimes. So maybe it was.
because it was fucking cool. But then,
it was real. So it was real, and here's why, right? So if I just finish a wrestling match, I just beat somebody's ass, like I do, and I beat their ass significantly, and I'm sweating, I'm beat up, and you come in with your title and you're all, look at my tits, I'm the best, right? Fuck you. I can't wait till Sunday when I punch you in the dick. I'm not going to have a witty comeback. I'm going to be beat. I'm going to be like sweating. I'll be like, hey, fuck you, let's fight.
Well, that's why your adrenaline will be going up, right? Your adrenaline's going on. So you got that happening.
It's real.
Now, Jon Moxley grabs the microphone back from Hangman and is like, hey, I'm going to let you have this one. I'll see you in Cincinnati on Tuesday. And this is a point I wanted to bring up. Let's do a quick side quest before we get back into AEW Dynamite. I told you this in a direct message, but I think maybe all of this, the elite are hard to work with. Sammy Guevara is so difficult and he's an asshole. You know who you're hearing that from? Is at least reports. And again, I hate dirt sheets, but the reports of who these people are that are having trouble with the younger talent. It's the older guys. It's the Eddie Kingstons. And I love Eddie Kingston, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we're starting to see those older guys look at the younger guys, because when Jon Moxley is in this ring cutting his promo, they're chanting cowboy shit. Right now, Moxley doesn't have a chant, so maybe if he did, they would be chanting that as well, like a Moxley Hangman page, like kind of back and forth. But they were all chanting cowboy shit, and then when Hangman calls his bluff and says, "Let's do it," they cheer. So maybe all of this, well, I don't like all of this, is the older talent in AEW not liking that the younger talent maybe want to take their spot. And hey, isn't that what pro wrestling's all about?
It's always been.
So that's all I'm
saying. Promo about my spot.
And I have no evidence. I can't, but just as a viewer of the television show, it feels as if maybe this older generation of pro wrestlers that are still in their prime, but moving towards the back end of it, are starting to feel a little insecure about that younger talent ascending to the main event scene. That's just how I feel. Like you said, maybe we get Hangman's second reign. I wouldn't hate it. I love Hangman Adam Page. He is my favorite.
I would love
Eddie
it.
Kingston's also my favorite. You can have a 1A and a 1B, but I love him. So we'll see what happens. All right, now let's get into, so we have a backstage segment. Jade Cargill is going to take on Willow Nightingale on Friday. That's great. Looking forward to it. Yeah. Then we get a quick squash. What, you think Willow's going to beat her?
No. But when do we get, somebody has to, right?
You know who it is.
Is it Saraya?
It's Saraya. It's Saraya.
I don't want it to be
Thunder
Saraya.
Rosa has to come back, and so she will be in the main event picture because, again, she's the champion. So we're going to figure out our nonsense there. Saraya needs to get her feet wet with Britt Baker, so we're going to get that match. After that, and it could be Britt Baker. I think it's either Britt Baker or Saraya is going to be the one that
Britt
beats
Baker's
Jade
one
Cargill.
I never thought of, yeah.
And then that takes Jade Cargill to the, all right, well, fuck that title. I want this title now. That's what I think happens. Willow Nightingale winning, though, I would love. She's, again, a ball of energy. I love her.
Yeah. Man, that TNT, right? Or TBS. It's the TBS title.
Yeah, that bitch show.
Yeah. Having Britt Baker win that is also keeping that at such an elevated level. Like, it's as equal as...
That's what I'm saying.
As the women's
or Saraya,
title.
Right? Like, you have that main event type of talent. Yep. And then when you have
I think Saraya is actually a great answer, because then Jade Cargill, you go, okay, you lost to a quote-unquote legend who, as you've alluded to, maybe wrestled 14 matches on WWE television. Maybe more than that, but, Yeah. But also it was a talented wrestler from a wrestling family and had grown up, technically wrestled in the womb. Technically, we've talked about that with her before, too. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You're probably right there.
All right, so then we get a quick squash match. That I'm right? No.
Yeah.
People know. Look at all the comments. All of the the response that we've got from our listeners. They always agree with me.
Right? Yeah. Everybody's like, I love T-Mac and all of his opinions.
Yeah, he's the best. I see a male version of Willow Nightingale in T-Mac. That's
Nobody
what they all
has
say.
wanted to drive a truck up your ass.
No.
No.
I don't think anyone's ever disagreed with me. At least I haven't heard it. But we get a quick squash match back in the ring here. We get Fuego del Sol, the AEW Brooklyn Brawler, taking on Luchasaurus. I love Fuego. I like it. Keep him going with it. I just keep it going with it. I love it. But Luchasaurus beats him in one move. And then, again, recapping the night, I think we got the most heartbreaking line of the night. Maybe the most heartbreaking moment in AEW history. So post-match, Jungle Boy runs in. He gives a good old wallop to Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus goes out to the back, grabs the microphone, and just says, like, you were my best friend, and you broke my heart. Oh, my God, Tim, I'm getting emotional right now talking about it.
Yeah,
like, how?
Sad.
And he's like, you picked him? You picked
him? Oh. I love, though, that Christian even, like, got a fucking wry smile when he said that too. He's like, yeah, he fucking did. I love it. I love Christian so much. He's one of my favorites of all time. And this was great. I'm still it's wrestling, and we talked about this. The trope is when one guy goes on the rant, everybody's got to be like, oh my God. But Luchasaurus should not be afraid to get back in the ring with anybody. And I know Christian was kind of holding him back, but he did have a chair.
Yeah,
that's true. He did have a chair. And then to get in the ring, you're open to the chair shot. So I guess I'll give you that one. All right.
Yeah. But he broke his heart, man. I got really emotional. I had to have my wife hold my hand when she was reading her book. I was like, I need someone right now. This is
Tell me
really
everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, it's really sad. Oh, so now they're going to wrestle each other. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I know. The mega powers explode.
Well, this is what I think we should do. The first great moment in AEW history is the Cody versus Dustin match. And post-match, Cody, after beating Dustin, says, I got a tag match and I need a partner, and I don't need a partner. I need my brother. And they embrace. Cody's out of the fucking company. Let's kind of bury that moment a little bit if I'm AEW. Why not have this knockdown, drag out fight? Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, go to hell and back and everything in between. Jungle Boy comes out on top. Christian Cage does the, Queen Sherry thing, like what she did to Macho Man, and was like, you suck, you're out of here, I'm done with you. And he walks off and storms off. And Luchasaurus looks like a broken man. You even maybe like twist his mask a little bit to where you start to see a little bit of his face.
I'm a man, I'm not a dinosaur.
Well, yes, yeah, you get an arm, but then you get the embrace of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus hug, and we bring back the Jurassic Express, and we go taking them back to the top.
I don't even know that I would do it at that moment. I think you have Jungle Boy win, right? And then he's going to go on a singles run and do whatever he does. But then you have the Christian stuff happen, and Luchasaurus goes through this whole thing, and he's like, that's where Christian starts braiding him. He's like, stupid idiot, you're not a dinosaur, you're a man. You're a 7-foot, 12-inch man, I think, right? And he says, like, you're a fucking man. And he's like, you're right, I am a man. I'm a man. And then, he starts losing all the time because he's not a man, he's a dinosaur. And then that's when Jungle Boy, who's having all this success, right? He's like, brother, man, we used to run up and down this road. You're my best friend until you broke my heart. But what's happened to you, dog?
We're past that. Yeah, we're past that now. Yeah, and you could even say, have Jungle Boy like, hey, all the success is great, but it's not as good as it used to be. I don't like it when I'm alone.
I'm still a boy looking for my dinosaur, man.
And I'm a dinosaur.
Dinosaur.
That's what you need. You need the embrace in the ring, hugging each other, bring them back. I know they need to fight, but after that comment, I just want them to be friends again, man. And I want the world.
Here's what you get. Here's what you get. I think so. You have Christian do the whole piss off, and Luchasaurus is just down and out. He's a face again, but he's not aligned maybe with Jungle Boy, right? Jungle Boy's doing his singles run. Then we get this. Something happens. We get a 4-man tag, right? 8-man tag match on Dynamite tonight. We've got 4 heels over here, and on this side we've got the Best Friends, and we've got Jungle Boy, and we've got Luchasaurus. The 4 faces win, And then the best friends start hugging because you got to give the people what they want. And they're like, come on, guys. Come on in. Let's do this. And they're just staring at each other like, with him? And they're like, got to give the people what they want, right? And we, fine, right? And we all hug it out.
Yeah, you could tease it like how the Shield. Well, you could tease it like how the Shield, where it was Moxley and Seth Rollins, were, are we going to do this?
Yeah, like, are we going to
That was a great moment. Yes. That was a great moment in wrestling.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get back on track here. We get into...
That's right, the fist pound. They were like, all right, fine.
Moxley's kicking the ring. And
let's touch fists.
Yeah. So let's get into now the main event. It was the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, and Red Death, Daniel Garcia, taking on
it was Daniel Bryan. Daniel Garcia,
Sex Gods,
Bryan Danielson.
Jericho. Let me get to it. Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. Don't bury the match here. So we get La Sex Gods, Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. And then we get Daniel Bryan, which I'm trying to get to, of Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia.
God damn it.
This I thought was good. Go ahead.
He needs to join Blackpool Combat Club and he needs to make this tag team. And because I think that would be the thumb and the nose at WWE, because that's probably legal. They can probably do that and not be like, hey, look, it's just two names. What do you don't own the names Daniel and Bryan?
Or maybe they do. But yeah, we'll see.
Maybe they do. Oh, I'm sure a lawsuit would come. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So this will get us into our next conversation. But I thought this match was okay. I think it was heavily overshadowed from events that took place earlier in the night. Because as much as they wanted to focus on Daniel Garcia, Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho, they end up getting the victory, but he uses the belt to hit Daniel Garcia in the head. And you see after JAS is celebrating, Jericho still looks distraught. And it's like, man, maybe I shouldn't have done that, right? Like, I didn't mind winning, but I didn't want to hit him. I like him. He's my buddy, you know? But I feel like that all got washed away and pushed to the side because no one could focus on anything else but fuck Sammy Guevara on something you read from dirt sheet dum-dums who had to retract. Well, they had to retract, but they didn't. They should have. That they both got sent home. Obviously, one of them didn't. But you just had to, Sammy. You never saw the fight, but you're going to hate him because why? And so let's go into that. So again, the match was, I thought, overshadowed by the Sammy Guevara incident. What happened was, reportedly, from TMZ, which is more reputable than Wrestle Votes or whatever the talk and all the Observer bullshit, they said that there was a backstage incident where altercation happened between Sammy and Andrade, which led to a physical altercation. And then they said both of them were sent home. Obviously, that was wrong. They end up deleting the tweet, never saying that they're wrong. That's another thing that I hate. But we didn't see Andrade, as we alluded to earlier. His match with 10 now gets canceled.
You know, I'll even give TMZ a pass here, because what could happen is one of these things where like, both of you get out of here. And then they go, hey, Chris, we had to send Sammy home. And he's like, fuck that. You get him back here. We already worked the match. And he's like, fuck, whatever. All right. And they're like, Sammy, get your ass back to the fucking, you know what I mean?
Right.
And Andrade's like, me too. And they're like, fuck you. Right? You know, like that could have happened. But again, we don't know. So I'm not really concerned. They had been leading up with this Twitter beef about, you know, Andrade's mad at him because he's saying he complained that he hit him too hard and all this kind of jazz. And like, again, it's interesting. I'm going to look. I'm going to watch, but I'm not basing my opinion on like these two as a performer or whether I want to keep watching them over this, because this is just two dudes being dudes where they're probably both wrong and both right. And so like, I don't really give a shit. And I'll tell you this, if one's got to go because they just can't get along, sorry, Andrade, you've never entertained me. I'm like, Sammy Guevara, I get the feeling from stuff we've seen, probably not a guy I want to go have a beer with, but he's more entertaining than Andrade has been anywhere I've ever seen Andrade. So like, I don't get why people get in an uproar about it, kind of as you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the part that I get so aggravated about is, yes, we read the tweets. That was interesting. And I will take that at what it is because of two reasons. One, it's at Sammy Guevara. Now, I don't know if that's his real name or not, but that's his wrestling name. Mm-hmm. So when his wrestling Twitter is saying, fuck you, bitch, and all that stuff, well, that's the wrestler to me. I don't care if it's a shoot. I don't care if it's a work. That's the other thing, too, is everyone wants to know or predict things. We're going to predict some matches, but guess what? If I go 0 for 10, who fucking cares? Who cares? Why did people so care about, I told you so? Fuck you. Fuck. There's a 50-50 chance and you happen to be on the right side. Go fuck your mother. But on this, what we saw was a Twitter beef, and it all could have been from a misunderstanding. We don't know anything about this. This could have easily been Andrade heard that Sammy complained to management that Andrade hits too hard. It could have easily been Sammy went to Chris Jericho and was like, hey, man, what the fuck was this Andrade? Have you ever wrestled him? He hit me hard as fuck in the chin. That shit hurt. And then Chris is like, hey, he could be that way. And then 2.0 hears it or what, and then things start to spread that way. And then it gets back to Andrade. Sammy thinks you're too stiff. And then he takes offense to that, right? It could have all spoiled or, spun out of that little conversation. I'm not saying it did because guess what? We don't know the fucking details. All we know is that these two guys had a disagreement because they probably don't really like each other. And this is what sparked it. It was this little interview from Andrade and Sammy. I will say this, Sammy went 0 to 100. For Andrade to say like, hey, these wrestlers today, Sammy says I hit too hard. And for then Sammy to instantly go to, you were a fucking pity hire. Fuck you, bitch. It's like,
yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. Like Andrade, we can talk about this too. Don't actually hit the guy, right? You know what I mean? Like if you're working stiff in 2022, we think that's dumb as well.
Yeah.
Especially if you haven't worked it out with the person before. Like, hey, I like to hit hard. Like he said, I've worked with Sheamus. Well, okay, but Sheamus likes to get in a bar fight. Sammy Guevara doesn't. Look at him, right? Like I could have told you that without fucking asking. So, I feel like you're in the wrong there. But like you said, Sammy, like popping off at the mouth to such a level is like, dude, like calm down. That was your dick too, right? Like, so that's where I'm just kind of like, all right, well, whoever the fuck, you guys tough it out. But I don't like respect the other one. I don't respect either one of you because one of you said something more cutting. I don't respect either one of you because one of you punched the other guy first. I don't respect one of you more because one of you kicked the other guy's ass. I'm just like, whatever. If that makes you guys stop, then do whatever. But like, none of it matters to me. I don't respect Sammy more if he beat up Andrade or Andrade more if he beats up Sammy. None of that matters to me. Just keep making good television. One of you has, the other hasn't.
Right, but that's the only thing I want. I want my television show to be entertaining, and that's what this episode was. And again, the main event was overshadowed because these dorks with neck beards are like, well, what happened? Sammy's a mean person. Sammy, you don't have a neck beard.
I was checking. I was looking. I was taking a look. I was like, shit, did I shave that?
So, but this is what I want to talk about as a quick side conversation based off of this story, because as it's been reported, Sammy Guevara, this is his second altercation. It was confirmed by all parties. Eddie Kingston and him got into something over a promo. Eddie Kingston hit him in the face. That happened. Obviously, we know about the all-out media scrum and what happened after that and all of the reports from that. Here's the question I posed on our Twitter at Table Show, and I'll ask you here. Everyone is throwing the pitchforks at Tony Khan. Tony Khan, you piece of shit. You can't run a company. You suck. You're a cokehead. You don't know all this. I watched AEW this past Sunday. The guest was Christopher Daniels, and they both confirmed that Christopher Daniels is head of talent relations. To the best of my knowledge, I've been around some pro wrestling companies. I've read enough pro wrestling books and literature to know that the head of talent relations is the go-between between Tony Khan and the wrestlers, and also to manage the wrestlers in between each other to make sure we're not fist fighting.
It's always been if you have an issue, they send the talent management guy to be like, what's wrong? What do we got to do? So
the question I have is, where is the heat? Where is the backlash? Where is the call for his job for Christopher Daniels? He's out here wrestling in Europe for 1PW, or he's on Impact Wrestling, or again, he's on AEW, which is fine. I mean, that's a AEW show, but he's doing all these things. We're not hearing his name at all. Where is he?
To be clear from my side, I'm glad that we're not hearing hate on him, but we also maybe shouldn't be hearing hate on Tony Khan over this, because this is a Sammy Guevara and Andrade issue.
But I think this is a Christopher Daniels situation, because if I'm at work, right, and I have an altercation with my coworker, and let's just say it's not physical, but it's back and forth, and it causes so much of a ruckus. You know who catches the heat for it? My boss, not the CEO, my direct boss.
Right.
And that's how corporations work. And it just, we're bypassing the boss. We're just like, so if I said, fuck you to a coworker and we push each other, the CEO of the company doesn't resign.
It
right?
needs to be fired,
like,
right? Yeah.
We get handled, and then if it wasn't handled by the boss properly, they get fired.
So let me ask you this then. Do we get, a couple things here. Sammy Guevara has been to sensitivity training already in AEW. If you'll rewind the clock a little bit and go to the WWE side of things, the Hunico version of Sin Cara went 3-0 backstage and had to go to some anger management conflict training. Do we need some anger management conflict training now for Mr. Guevara?
I mean, possibly, but again, shouldn't your head of talent relations be working with them?
So, and here's the thing that we need, like, maybe we can impress on you wrestling fans that we want you to be our wrestling friends. You're dealing with, you need a show if we're starting a wrestling show, Tom, we need wrestlers, but we need those wrestlers to be personalities. We need them to be larger than life personalities, which usually comes with alpha male tendencies. And so you have hotheads. You have guys who turn it up to 11. You tell them, turn it up to 11, turn it up to 11, turn it up to 11. Neil Brennan's thing where he talked about the guy footballed when he shouldn't have footballed, right?
Yep.
Same kind of thing. This is where talent relations is supposed to come in, to start saying like, hey, man, you could calm it down a little bit, right? Like you're going off the rails. Like you're going to have to deal with these issues. So it is a forward-thinking thing of how to deal with those issues. And then understand that some of this is going to come out. And you're going to say, we employ circus acts, right? Like they're going to be a little zany. So it happens.
But also this could be a bad hiring practice. Maybe we stop hiring active wrestlers. I know Christopher Daniels is 52 years old or whatever, but if he's going to continue to wrestle and not be doing his day-to-day duties of head of talent relations, maybe let's relieve him of those duties and hire someone who can do this job day in, day out. Because that's the part where, again, he should be stepping in. That's the other thing. I think Dave Meltzer, of all fucking people, said, like, how did these two even get face to face? Right? They said, I think it was Andrade said, I'll see you Wednesday. So again, if I'm the boss of two employees who said, we're going to meet outside, I'm going to go out there and diffuse the situation. So again, Christopher fucking Daniels, do your job. I'm not even at Tony Khan's level right now, because that can be a firing offense, right? Hey, Sammy Guevara, you did sensitivity training for this. You've had 2 fights. We need to fire you. That can be a decision, or that's a discussion for a different day. I'm upset with all of this backstage turmoil, and there's one person that's getting paid to fucking handle it, and he's not. So, hey, man, that's my take. Fire Christopher Daniels.
Yeah, that's the thing is, if you're gonna, that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like if you're gonna take the stance of somebody should take the fall for this, it's Christopher Daniels. I don't think anybody should take the fall for this.
No, I don't either. But I think.
So why are people saying Tony Khan take the fall for this? Like, no, motherfucker, because if somebody's supposed to take the fall for this, it's Christopher Daniels or it's Sammy Guevara and Andrade. Like,
right. But that's my point. Is the idea that Tony Khan is at fault for this? I don't think so. I think, again, now maybe he needs to relieve Christopher Daniels of his duties and says, I need a full-time person to do this and not someone who wants to wrestle with Kazarian on a random episode of Impact.
Yeah. I will say, if I was in position of Christopher Daniels or Tony Khan, another one of these, if it happens anytime soon, you might be thinking about, like, Sammy, we gotta
cut bait.
You're causing problems. I can't have you fighting everybody. You know what I mean? Like, at that point, it'll be a third strike, you're out kind of a thing.
I agree.
Because I also love the stance of, like, hey, look, Sammy Guevara, we could count him as a pillar of AEW. I don't think anybody's disagreeing with that, but I don't think he's a draw to the point where if he was gone, people are suddenly like, I'm not watching AEW anymore.
Or if he goes to WWE, we're going to change the channel.
Right, yeah.
It's
I'm going to watch NXT because it's right, yeah.
Sammy Guevara versus Austin Theory. Have to watch that one. I mean, it'd be fun, but like that's not a turn the channel kind of moment.
Right.
So yeah, let's get into now. We wanted to talk about on Friday, they are going to do a live AEW Rampage, which Tim, first off, what do you think about live AEW Rampages? I'm in favor of them. What do you think?
Yes, I agree too. I think if you're doing the show, it should be live. This is what gets ratings in 2022 on TV anyway, is live programming.
Exactly. Especially in wrestling when they can, all these dirt sheets again, just post the spoilers as if that should get you a fucking paycheck, you jerk offs. Hey, here's the new movie. The end is the fucking main character dies. Give me clicks. Fuck you. Hate those dirt sheet cocksuckers. But we get AEW Rampage. And let's talk about it a little bit. So the first match that we mentioned earlier that I want to talk about, Dark Order versus Death Triangle. What do you think happens here? You said maybe Dark Order?
I think we're going to get Dark Order just because of this melee thing, and maybe they're not ready to like, hey, we're going to push Andrade stable and have Preston Vance join it. Unless they're all like, hey, this is settled, and they go there. So I wouldn't be surprised either way, but I think if I had to like bet money right now and I had no option, but I had to bet money, I'd probably go with the Dark Order.
I'm going Dark Order for this reason, and we'll get into Battle of the Belts on the immediately afterwards, but Pac is pulling double duty. And so I would not be shocked if he goes 1 for 2. And I think of the two matches, because the other one he's taking on Trent, and I love Trent, and I think he's awesome. I think he's honestly the most reliable in-ring wrestler for the entire company because he can have a great match with anyone. But if he's going to lose one of his titles, Pac that is, I think the Dark Order being champion makes more sense than Trent.
Yeah.
Now we get into a fun pro wrestling versus sports entertainment match where we get Sky Blue and Madison Rayne, as mentioned earlier, taking on Anna Jay. And I keep saying Tay Mello. I haven't been explained what Tay Mello is. How do you think this unfolds? We get JS standing tall.
I think so. Yeah, I don't get a feel that like we're putting over Footface and Sky Blue here at the expense of the JAS. By the way, the Tay and Anna Jay though are doing great in this role. They are really unlikable when they come on and they say stuff. You're like, ugh, I would hate these women. They're doing great.
Yeah, they're doing great. I like that they're taking the men's storyline and applying it to their characters, where it's the sports entertainers versus pro wrestlers. Because more often than not, a pro wrestling trope is like the storyline only applies to the man, and the woman who stands next just has to something or just like do something else, right? So I like that they're adopting the sports entertainers are better than pro wrestlers. I also like, as you mentioned, when they come on screen, I fucking hate them.
Yeah.
I also like them.
You're right.
But I fucking hate them.
You're right. Yeah, but I hate them. Yeah.
I like them too. So I'm excited for that match. What else we got here? We got the Blackpool Combat Club in action. It's going to be Moxley, Claudio, and Yuta taking on Rush and Private Party. My question to you about this match is this where we see Private Party say, fuck yeah.
Yeah. If we don't get that here, then I would think the only thing they would do is the heel team gets the win via hook or crook, and then we start a little mini program. But I don't know if that's where we're going with this. So I feel like Blackpool Combat Club wins. Yeah.
I think Blackpool Combat Club wins, and I do think Private Party pulls a trigger and reunites with Matt Hardy or does something like that. Yep. I'm not that in favor of it, if I'm being honest with you.
I'm not in favor of that.
First time.
Yep.
And I think maybe Matt Hardy just needs to stay backstage.
So here's the thing. Like what didn't work was Big Money Matt and these guys. And so then maybe they're like, hey, let's run it back and they'll be face now. Well, Matt Hardy's not helping me think like, oh, I like these guys now because Matt Hardy. So like, I just, it's not for me. So I think they're going to flounder a little bit more, unfortunately. I mean, look, they're fine, but I also don't think they've got high star power, if that makes sense. Yet they haven't figured out their charisma portion yet, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they have the packaging. I like the song. I like the velvet rope where they can get in, the you're not invited party of us and all of that stuff. I like that. But yeah, there is something missing as far as like taking.
Well, that would have worked if it was exclusive. They had, some of the baddies with them or something, right? Only could get into the party. They won matches, right? But like we just didn't get that.
Yeah. Now here's a curveball I'm going to throw at you. What if Matt Hardy turns heel on them and Jeff Hardy comes back and then we get broken Matt Hardy and Willow and those motherfuckers in the tag team division?
I don't know, man. You think they're probably keeping Jeff Hardy a 10-foot pole, don't you think? I mean,
we've
said this all the time. He probably always pays for himself in merch sales. It's probably a no-brainer, even if you have to deal, as long as he doesn't kill somebody, right? That's your only, But again, if you have a competent talent relations, it would be like, no, I'm booking Jeff Hardy's travel. I'm getting him a driver. I'm getting him a, that kind of thing.
That's another knock on the head of talent relations is working with your talent and their relations.
Yeah.
And your fucking job title.
Who is not checking Jeff Hardy at the door to be like, who's driving you? Be like, I'm driving me. No, you're not.
No, you're not. Yeah.
Look, we got you a limo. Right?
Yeah. Really, Christopher Daniels needs to be fired. That's what I'm leaving this whole discussion with. And then we got one more match.
That's the episode title.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Then we get one more match here. It is Tony Nese and Josh Woods with Smart Mark Sterling, who I just love. I like Smart Mark Sterling. Great. I kind of ran past it in the review, but he didn't really do much with the Acclaimed and
he just came out for a little quick bit.
Yeah. But I like him, and I like this tag team with him. I don't like them by themselves, but I like it with Smart Mark Sterling. But they're taking on the absolute worst tag team in AEW history and currently in the Varsity Blondes. They are weird. It is a grooming type gimmick where I feel like they're grabbing 16-year-olds and hanging out at proms and spiking punch bowls at house parties. I don't like them. Get them out of here. I don't like them. Change their gimmick. I don't know anything about them.
Discuss this. I hate the gimmick. If they're supposed to be faces, they're the guys who are still wearing their high school Letterman jackets. Nobody likes those people.
Nobody.
So why would this get over as a face gimmick? It would be great if they were a heel gimmick. It'd be a little weird then too.
It would be weird.
That's why it would be great. But it just,
It's the worst gimmick. It's probably, I like AEW, and I think they've hit doubles and home runs their entire 3 years of being a promotion. However, their worst story, gimmick, whatever you want to call it, in my opinion, is the Varsity Blondes. Absolutely detest everything about them. Again, I don't know the two people. They seem like good people. I know nothing about them. I don't care to know anything about them. I'm just telling you what I see on my TV screen because that's all I like to talk about is what's on my TV screen. So yeah, there you go. I hate them. But AEW Rampage. And then we get Battle of the Belts immediately after that. So we're getting 2 hours again, because you recall we did the Grand Slam, we did 2 hours. So I guess my question to you on that is, do you think we get 2 hours of Rampage live moving forward?
I don't know about moving forward all the way. I think, same thing. Go listen to that Ariel Helwani interview that I'm talking about that Tom sent me. I think they're giving them more of them. I think they're saying, hey, let's do another one of those 2-hour shows when it's not maybe hindering something else they've got on another network that maybe they're trying to get over, right? So I think maybe when NBA is in full swing or, if finals roll around, we're not maybe putting up a 2-hour against that, maybe that kind of thing. But I think maybe we'll see a lot more of them frequently coming around. And I like that AEW doesn't just go special 2-hour AEW Rampage. They go, this is the fucking Truck Titan 3000, right? They come up with some name cooler than I just did and make it an event. Way cooler.
Yeah. So now let's talk about Battle of the Belts. So we get 3 matches that I'm seeing here. Again, we're recording this on a Thursday. There could be matches made tomorrow morning, but the 3 matches I see here, as mentioned, double duty. We're getting for the All Atlantic Championship champion Pac taking on Trent Beretta. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think Pac wins.
Okay.
It'll be a good match.
Then,
We'll enjoy it. Those guys have worked together from 20,000 times or something.
Yeah. Then we're getting for the TBS Championship. Champion Jade Cargill taking on challenger Willow Nightingale.
Jade Cargill.
In their third encounter. And then for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships, here's their names. I just found it. It is challengers Gates of Agony.
Yeah.
The Samoan guys, the embassy, taking on everyone's favorite local cops, FTR. What do you think?
I think the local cops win here still. I think he still wants big names on ROH titles so he can say, hey, we need a TV show. Look how great everybody loves this.
So real quick, I wanted to ask you about this because it just came to my mind. Let's just take a quick glance at the champions for AEW and the champions for Ring of Honor. And if both had a TV show, which again, that interview from Ariel that Tony Khan did seems like maybe that's what they're working towards. Here's the champions for AEW. Currently, you have Jon Moxley as your heavyweight champion. Your TNT champion is Wardlow. Your tag team champions are the Acclaimed. And then you got interim champ Tony Storm, and then TBS champ Jade Cargill, All Atlantic champ Pac. I think that's all, right? 6 of them.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Ring of Honor has heavyweight champion Chris Jericho, pure champion Daniel Garcia, TV champion Samoa Joe, and tag team champions FTR. What show would you watch?
I mean, yeah, that's tight. It would depend
that's
on the
an abundance
storylines
of
going
talent.
on, I think, but that is, again, that's kind of where we're at. And we've been calling for this TV show for ROH for a while because AEW already was overstacked with talent. Now we've got ROH in here as well, and it's like, man, we really need more time.
Who's the Ring of Honor women's champ? I
Is there
remember
one right now?
I remember it was Mercedes Martinez for a little bit. Is she still the champ? I think she still is because she beat Serena Deeb. So then you get Mercedes Martinez as well. Again, we don't fact check. Hashtag tweet table or let us know in the comments. That's fine. So that is it. We get 2 hours of live television from AEW on a Friday night after 2 hours of SmackDown. If you want to watch that, which I wouldn't say you should. Big night of wrestling on Friday night.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't hate it. I saw somebody said this after the last one. They were like, we'll complain about Raw being 3 hours, but we just watched 4 hours of SmackDown AEW. I was like, yeah, but that's 2 different presentations, right? Like there's a break also, there, right? It's 2 different things that I'm watching. And
also, I know there's tribalism, so there's people who don't watch one and do watch another, so you can break it up if you want. I know I sound tribalistic by saying I don't watch WWE, but I don't watch WWE. And so it's only 2 hours for me on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. I'm not sitting here telling you I watch a full 4 hours of wrestling on Friday night. Yeah. I will kind of skip through some SmackDown stuff because I'm looking for like a Sami Zayn and that kind of stuff. But yeah. No, I like the I want more 2 hour rampages. Maybe if we're doing that, maybe we do 8 and not starting at 9 and going to 11. Maybe we do an 8 to 10, but then you'd be overlapping with SmackDown, so they probably won't do that.
You're so old.
Yeah, I'm old. Yeah. Look,
I just want it live.
3 years old.
I'm actually okay if it is 1 hour. I just prefer it to be live because the energy of a live show and then the excitement online from people watching a live wrestling event is a more exciting.
The thing with a 1 hour, where you've talked about this, where the sweet spot's got to be an hour and a half at least, because yeah, you can maybe fit 3 good matches in on an hour show, but you're not leaving a whole lot of promo and story building time when you do that. So now we're down to 2 matches and maybe something else, and then it's feeling like I wanted a little more, which isn't always a bad thing either. So
yeah, I'm just saying. Of the 2, if I could pick, is it 2 hours or is it live?
Yeah,
I'd go live. Live. Yeah, that's what I want. So that is your AEW portion of the Spanish Announce Table. Tim, if you want to pull up the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, we'll talk about that a little bit.
While I'm pulling that up, let's also talk about some news that happened in the WWE world. It was announced the commentary teams are changing again.
I know.
Yeah, here we go again.
Sad. Well, I'm sad about this because So for transparency, because I always want to be transparent with the audience, I don't have a personal relationship with Jimmy Smith. I have met him. I've worked with him a couple of times in an Invicta capacity when he was calling Invicta FC fights. Obviously, I'm aware of him from his work in Bellator. I liked him from his MMA broadcasting career. When he came over to WWE, I was a little bit shocked because he's never been the lead guy. He was always the color, not the play-by-play. But I thought throughout his entire time, he did a very good job.
He was great. I thought he was really good.
I thought he was good enough to where you knew his voice, you could understand what he was saying, but he didn't make it about him. He wasn't doing a Moro Ronaldo where it was silly catchphrases all.
Yeah,
all
but
the time.
And it also felt honest, right? When something happened, he got excited. When something, was serious, he was serious. And he didn't seem like it wasn't very clear to me that like he's not a wrestling fan, right? Like he knew what he was saying. He followed these folks. He knew how to play it. Like you said, distinguishable voice. I thought the energy was good. He never gave you anything bad, right? I don't think he gave us any iconic moments, but It was never bad and it fit, right? Like he felt like what you would expect a play-by-play person to be calling if I'm watching a thing. We used to call that term the straight man. I know that's maybe not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a weird term in 2022, but that's what they meant because the color commentator was often the heel who was like, "Yeah, fuck you," right? Like,
right.
And then the play-by-play guy had to be like, "Hey, man, like,
let's just watch
professionalism here, right? Like that.
Let's watch the show here. Yeah, let's call what we're seeing."
I thought he was great, but now we're getting this on SmackDown. It's gonna be Michael Cole and Wade Barrett, which Wade Barrett isn't terrible. I've heard him. I've also never thought same thing. Like I think he gives you good work, but he never gives you anything bad, right? But he's also not giving you anything great.
I've never
Wade Barrett. Oh, really? Yeah.
What is he?
Well, Wade Barrett
before? Well, no, I know Wade Barrett.
Yeah. He was doing NXT for a long time. Yeah.
I don't watch NXT.
And then we got Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves on Raw. And Kevin Patrick was a curveball for me. That one I didn't realize he was like going to be calling matches. Like he was great in the interview. I've always thought he does great. Poor guy has to squat down like Tom Phillips used to do because he's 7'3" or something like that. But so this should be interesting. I don't know, and you brought this up. I don't know that we're accustomed in America here to a thick accent play-by-play guy. We've had it in the Wade Barrett on commentary, where so that'll be interesting. And it's a really thick accent, and that's not to say that's bad. Right,
no,
like that's not.
But when he's reading the ads for a KFC, that might be a little jarring to the ear.
Right,
that an Irishman is going to be reading a KFC ad.
This is a weird move for WWE for me because sometimes we're like, man, WWE, they're so old school, or they don't get it. I think WWE is keenly aware that the majority of their viewers are white, rural, and kind of simple. And old. And old. And so this will be interesting, right? Now, it's a white accent, so they'll probably be fine with it. But, and then on NXT, we've got Vic Joseph, who's been doing that. And
I remember him. He was on Raw for a little bit.
Right. And Booker T.
The worst fucking person to ever
this
be
makes
in
me
front
wonder,
of a
like, is
microphone.
Booker T now a coach or something in NXT, and maybe that's why he's here?
But yes. If there's a still shot that I want to be shown for my thoughts on Booker T talking
NXT is about to be right now, right here, city, man.
He is.
We're gonna have to hear about the Fave Five. Oh,
the Clucky Ducky Chucky or whatever the fuck he used to say. He is the worst person to ever speak into a microphone in WWE history. That is not even an argument I would even willing to hear.
We interviewed that one guy who wrote a book, and he was terrible.
Yeah, and he sucked. But this Booker T is so awful. So awful. And his thoughts are dumb. He has nothing original to say. He just wants to act like because he was cool. And he was, as a wrestler, that just gets him some leeway to say whatever the fuck he thinks is fun in his head at 52 years old or however old he is.
Yeah.
He is the absolute worst. Now, that aside, the other thing I thought was interesting, if you take a look at all these announcements, is all 2-person booths.
Yeah, all 2-person booths. Mm-hmm.
No 3-person booths. So, one, do you think that is a trend that will then, get its tentacles in other promotions, because now it seems like every promotion is a 3-person booth.
I don't mind a 3-person booth, right? I don't hate a 3-person booth because it allows for the play-by-play guy to just be play-by-play, a la what we got with Jimmy Smith. Then you've got a face like with Byron Saxton, you've got a heel with Corey Graves.
Yeah, perfect.
Fine. But when we bring that 4th person on, right, like in AEW where we go, William Regal's sitting in on a Blackpool Combat Club, maybe one of these like 4 people's too much, right? Yeah. Then it starts to be ear, noise. And then I just kind of like, so somebody has to like go to the back or something, which is, they work that in AEW sometimes, like Shivani goes and does whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't hate the 2-man booth. I like it's a little bit more familiarity. The classic moments that we got as wrestling fans were Heenan and Gorilla and Ross and Lawler.
The King
right?
Lawler. Yeah.
So, I definitely don't hate the idea. I'm never like, oh, it's only 2-man, right? I don't hate a 3-person, but this should be fine.
Speaking of, just real quick, going back to AEW, one thing that happened on Dynamite, and I think actually happened the week before as well, no Jim Ross. That happened the week before. It's definitely this week. I didn't hate that.
I don't hate that either.
Just saying. I love Jim Ross. I thought he was great, but just like Muhammad Ali fighting in the 80s, you get past your prime.
You don't think we see him at some point go back to WWE now, huh? With Vince gone and Triple H in charge, you think we maybe he calls out and he's like, hey, when that AEW contract ends, we can use you over here for special spots again. And
I mean, good, take him. I don't.
It would fit better, honestly.
Here's where I think you put him. If he wants to get his toe back in the water of doing the things he used to do, fire Christopher Daniels and put Jim Ross back in charge of talent relations.
True. That's what he used to do.
He was dealing with The Rock and Mick Foley and Undertaker and Stone Cold and Triple H. And all
he's not afraid to tell a big buff dude, hey, shut the fuck up. You're being out of line.
He's the one that can get people in line. So maybe that's what he does. I wouldn't hate that idea.
Honestly, that's it. Like we've heard several times that he's like went up to them and be like, fucking knock it off. Because like he's like, sure, you can kick my ass, but are you really gonna do that? Like fucking exactly. So shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So maybe do that. That would be a move I would welcome very much in AEW. Okay, so let's get to Extreme Rules here, Tim.
Extreme Rules. I pulled it up on WWE.com. Again, this is Thursday, October 6th, as we're recording this right now. And so something might change due to Friday Night SmackDown, which we won't see, in time for this. But it's fine. Quick hits right here on the Extreme Rules webpage. They've got the Brawling Brutes versus Imperium. Now, named again, Imperium. In a 6-man tag team, good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. Boy, WWE hasn't changed enough if we're still calling things like this. Just call it.
Yeah, just say a street fight.
Just a street fight. For real. Yeah.
Just say
please.
It.
Yeah. I think Imperium maybe wins this.
I have no idea. I like Pete Dunne.
Oh, I love Pete Dunne.
I think maybe we get more towards Pete Dunne and away from Butch in this match. Maybe this is maybe where
Imperium goes over, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they stand victors. Pete Dunne's like, what the fuck? Why'd you punch me, Sheamus? Or whatever. Or maybe Sheamus is like, why'd you punch me? Pete Dunne, he's like, you were in the way. I was trying to punch him, you got in the way.
Or possibly this is what I would do. Again, if I had the pencil and I was in charge, because I think I'm better than you and you know it, I would say you have the Brawling Brutes lose, but Pete Dunne goes, okay, obviously you need more from me. I need to go back to my roots. And then we see the reemergence of Pete Dunne. That Butch motherfucker was too wild. He was unfocused. I'm here to win championships. And then boom, Pete Dunne comes back. That's what I do.
I wouldn't hate that. We get Edge versus Finn Balor in an I Quit match. Now, this is interesting enough with the I Quit aspect of it, right? Because we're to believe Edge isn't going to quit. No. But I feel like Finn Balor somehow wins this, right?
No.
With the Judgment Day and them trying to make them a major focal point of their shows. Now I feel like we get maybe Dominic Mysterio does something here. Maybe we get a whole Mick Foley, says I quit, but it was a taped message. Remember that? Like maybe we get something like that.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Or maybe AJ Styles comes out and joins the Judgment Day, which by the way, side note. So Dominic Mysterio joins the Judgment Day. AJ Styles now is flirting with the Judgment Day and mad at Rey Mysterio. Does everyone hate Rey Mysterio?
I mean, don't you?
I mean, is he the problem here?
Yeah. See the Sammy Guevara here? What's going on?
Everyone hates Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, even Seth Rollins tried to poke his eye out. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
everybody hates Rey Mysterio.
Who's the common denominator, right? Like,
yeah,
maybe everyone hates Rey. Do a show called Everyone Hates Rey, where it's just him walking around and he gets picked on the entire time. That'd be fun. Mysterio. No, but I got Edge. I got Edge. I think Edge is gonna do, and then I think this is him then transitioning out of that storyline. I think then we'll do something different with him out of this.
Well, we get a strap match with Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross. So I feel like Karrion Kross is a Triple H pet, right? So it makes me, again, that's peeking behind the curtain, makes me want to say Karrion Kross. If I'm watching the shows and I'm going, I believe this is real kayfabe storyline, I think Drew McIntyre wins. So I'm going to say Karrion Kross wins.
This is a fucking tough spot they put themselves in. Because if Karrion Kross loses his first fucking feud, well, that just came in like a turd in a punch bowl, right? But then if you have Drew McIntyre lose the championship, be forced to sing with Tyson Fury after he got his ass kicked, and then loses a strap match to Karrion Kross, the fuck does that mean for him?
Unless this continues, right? Scarlett somehow gives him the Kansas City comp punt, and then we continue this on to the next.
Or that's just it. Maybe we just transition out of it, right? Scarlett costs him, but then Drew McIntyre's like, I want another fight. And then someone else comes in and distracts Drew McIntyre. Then they go off and Karrion Kross finds a new victim.
Right.
I'm still going Karrion Kross. I think, yes, I'm going No, I'm going Drew McIntyre. I'm going Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
It's a specialty match. That's why.
Yeah, right. We've got Raw Women's Championship on the line. Bianca Belair versus Bayley in a ladder match. And I feel like they might pull the trigger here and have Bayley win.
Yeah.
The damage control gets involved.
They have all the gold because isn't the two of them.
Bianca's had this for a long time now.
Yeah, and she's stale. Look, I think she's a supreme athlete. I think her matches are very fun.
Oh, she's even better. Her promos have gotten better. I've watched a few of those. I'm like, yeah, not bad. Like you're improving. She's definitely improving.
Everything is improving, but nothing is worth watching, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
And so get her off. Bayley's the best. I think Bayley is the best in WWE as far as the women's talent. I think she's one of the best in the entire company, but definitely of the women's talent.
Speaking of nothing worth watching, Ronda Rousey is going to challenge for the SmackDown Women's Championship against Liv Morgan in an Extreme Rules match. And this is another one where I'm like, it doesn't surprise me either way. But I feel like they're going to try to keep pushing Liv Morgan, so I think she wins.
This means no DQ, correct?
Right. No DQ. No count out, probably.
Right, but we have seen a DQ.
You can use things in Extreme Rules, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but we have seen a DQ in a Hell in a Cell. So don't put it past them to fucking do a DQ in a no DQ match. Fucking idiots. I think they're so bad at fucking just everything. I think Ronda wins. I think we're going to get like badass heel Ronda. This is where she takes it too far and we boo her as she becomes champion. That's what I think.
All right. Well, the last match we have on the list here is a fight pit with special guest referee Daniel Cormier.
That's fun, isn't it?
Matt Riddle taking on Seth freaking Rollins. Matt Riddle wins this, or does he? Because Seth Rollins, man, feels like he's been not winning a whole lot of things lately, right?
No, Seth has been winning. He's been kicking Matt Riddle's ass. Is that what you said?
Well, I mean against Riddle, but like as far as before the feud with Riddle.
Yeah, he's getting his ass kicked by Cody. Ooh. So let me.
But I feel like they're trying to push Riddle as like a top guy right now.
Well,
right?
but
like
let me throw this at you, Tim. Fight pit. Special guest referee Daniel Cormier. So that means no one else is getting in, right? There is no one else to help Seth Rollins except for Daniel Cormier. And Daniel Cormier cost Matt Riddle the match. Then we get Matt Riddle versus Daniel Cormier at Survivor Series. Because you know what the payoff is.
All over ESPN and all over the fucking, right.
But even more so than that, you know what the payoff of Daniel Cormier is, right?
No.
This all leads to Brock Lesnar. They were supposed to have a fight in the UFC. Remember, Brock Lesnar went into the octagon after Daniel Cormier became the champion. He pushed him. They were going to fight, never materialized. They're going to get the payoff in WWE.
Seth said, when he was talking about this in his promo, he said, talking about a match that will soon become synonymous with my name. So maybe he knows he's winning.
I mean, it makes sense. Like,
is there any back footage of Matt Riddle shit talking Daniel Cormier?
No,
he shit talked a lot of folks.
Oh yeah, but there is footage of Daniel Cormier freaking out and damn near crying when Seth Rollins cashed in at WrestleMania on Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. He even had the little Money in the Bank, got it signed and all that stuff.
Oh, so he's like a legit wrestling fan.
Oh, he loves wrestling. Yeah. You should go back and watch when Israel Adesanya in his last fight walked out as The Undertaker. Cormier sounded like a 7-year-old in a candy store. He was just like, oh my God, this is so great. Oh, look at this. Like, he just lost his mind. He is a huge wrestling fan. And I think he'll apply his athleticism, even though he's a little fat guy, to being a good wrestler. And I think, we touch a match with Matt Riddle, but then we go to the appetite or the main course here, and it's going to be Brock Lesnar, Daniel Cormier, but we got to get there somehow, Matt Riddle and him. But then that would make him a heel. I don't fucking know. Hey, hold on.
Riddle wins. Because you still can get to Cormier and Lesnar.
Yeah.
Because Seth Rollins will be out there talking to shit next Monday, and he's poking Daniel Cormier in the chest, and Daniel Cormier goes to like, and then fucking he's like, hey, if I can beat up Seth Rollins, I can beat up other wrestlers. And then he's, now he's a wrestler, and then Brock Lesnar's like, oh, you think you can beat up other wrestlers?
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
You could even get Bobby Lashley. You could even get.
Oh yeah. I talked myself out of it. I got Matt Riddle. But again, mark my words right now, October 6th, 2022. I'm telling you, at WrestleMania, it is Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
Bet you $1. I'll bet anyone $1.
Yeah. One whole dollar, huh?
One whole dollar. Bet
All right, cool. Well, yeah, so that's Extreme Rules. I mean, we've said this before. WWE will deliver a fine pay-per-view event.
It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so much fun. But can I tell you one other thing, though? I think people want WWE to be so good. And I think if you look at it just on its surface value, I don't think it's that good. Case in point, Extreme Rules is supposed to be where we get this White Rabbit payoff. First off,
where would that come in? Where would that come into play? I didn't even think about that.
That could just be someone does an in-ring interview and then that person gets taken out by the White Rabbit. So, one, do you think we get that at Extreme Rules? And two, what do you think of the White Rabbit? Because I'm about over
I don't know that we do get it at Extreme Rules, because I just think we're going to get more of the same, and I think that's going to be where they fail a little bit with it, whereas like they should have pulled the trigger already, and they're like, look at all the response we're getting from all the online treasure hunt. Make up more treasure hunt.
Yeah, and then, you know what it feels like to me, and this is a dated reference, but if you go back to Lost, where when you would watch an episode of Lost, it was like, oh, the number on the door means that Alexander the Great's conquering in 1918. And it's like, what the fuck are we doing? The episode was boring, but it's like, but you see, if you do this and you scan that and look here, and that's what I feel like we're doing with the White Rabbit, where it's like, oh, but did you see the QR code behind Edge?
Well, I've said with this, if they deliver anybody but Bray Wyatt, everybody's going to be underwhelmed. And
unless it's Vince.
And then if they deliver Bray Wyatt, if they don't do it, and now we're going to be underwhelmed. It could be Vince.
Tim, what if it's fucking Vince McMahon? Oh, that would be so cool. He brings in a faction and he's like, I was forced to leave. If anyone's going to kill this promotion, it's me.
It's him and like, Trump. And it's him and Trump. Two-man power trip.
Fuck Austin and Triple H. This is a real two-man power trip. Oh, that's what it's Vince. Yeah, I'm calling her.
Yeah, it's totally Vince. The White Rabbit is Vince. Yeah, I like that. All right, so that's Extreme Rules, but also happening
this weekend, October 8th, GCW, career versus title. Champion, your heavyweight champion, not only of AEW, the champion of GCW, Game Changer Wrestling, Jon Moxley, puts his championship on the line against the heart and soul of GCW, Nick Gage, who will be putting his career on the line. It goes down GCW Fight Club Night 1, Saturday, October 8th on Fight TV. Moxley versus Nick Gage, career versus title. What happens here?
Nick Gage wins because I need Nick Gage to win. I can't go the rest of my life without having more Nick Gage moments. He can't retire.
Love him. I love that energy. I love the energy.
Love that fucking energy.
But so
I've been seeing them workouts.
Yeah, it's best, man. Love Nick Gage. That's so cool. It is. You should watch him on Instagram.
It's fucking great.
You're fucking inspired because he can barely move and he's fucking moving weight. So do you think shenanigans? Do you think Matt Cardona costs the title for Jon Moxley? Because that could be the way you get it off him, right? Is he loses, but he doesn't lose clean. It's a Cardona. It's a.
Nick Gage is also a face, right? I mean, he could win the match. But we're not supposed to believe that Nick Gage could, But the thing with GCW is the brutality of it. I mean, Moxley's the best wrestler, but yet that don't matter much when light tubes are being broken in your eyeball.
The story, as far as I understand it, I don't watch the weekly television or, any of that. I watch when they get to the pay-per-views, and I watch Nick Gage because Nick Gage is the fucking man. But I think the story's always been that Jon Moxley's only the champion because he wants to fucking murder Nick Gage, right? Remember, he's like, I don't care about this title. This title is to get you to fight me. And so it's interesting because
it would shock me if Nick Gage had to retire and he can't do this anymore. And we go, okay.
That's how he goes out on a shield with his former best friend, or I guess they're still friends, but like really close old pal, Jon Moxley. Yeah, you could see that. Oh, I'll cry. Oh, that would make me so sad. That'd make me
they
more
would
sad
have a bloody hug in the middle of the ring.
Oh yeah. I'd have to call you. I'd have to call you and just talk to you about it.
I'd have to talk you down off the ledge.
I know. That would make me more sad than when Jungle Boy said he got his heart broke by Luchasaurus.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want that to happen. I love Nick Gage. I love Jon Moxley though too. And you got to think, breaking the fourth wall here, Tony Khan's not like, hey, I'm having my champion just lay down. That's why I think a Matt Cardona or someone is getting involved. Maybe even a new heel that we're not even aware of. Someone new to the promotion.
Vince. Vince comes out with some light tubes. Fucking.
As soon as you left, my company went to shit. Fuck you, Moxley.
Vince McMahon's got a pizza cutter, and he's like, fuck you.
There you go. You heard it here first. Vince McMahon cost Jon Moxley the GCW championship
with the pizza cutter.
With the pizza cutter. Yeah. There it is.
That's it. I don't know of any other way to end this show other than with that visual. Do you?
That's the perfect way.
I mean,
no other way.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. So I'll just leave you with that. Keep that on your mind while you listen back to this episode 7 or 8 times until we see you next week right here on the Spanish Announce Table.
The Spanish Announce Table.